All right, gang, so I've got the last video here for probably a while until I get some more newness, which this may be it for the holidays, so it's hard to say what's coming next, but I'm gonna review the final two collections here, which, again, I'm calling this one the Woods collection because so many of them are at least outdoorsy or conceptual, as well as the White Barn Core collection, which there are some new releases in there, albeit not super exciting. Now, let's see here. There are quite a few, at least, let's see, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 to 12, something like that, in this outdoor conceptual collection, which I'm happy it's here because this is really where some of my favorites lie, and they tend to, if they focus on it the right way, they can have some really nice candles in this collection. And I'm just making sure, looking through my notes here to see if there's anything else that I'm missing. Let's see here. Yes, there are. Yeah, I believe it's 12, which is kind of crazy, right? So quickly go through the 12, and then we'll get on to, again, the conceptual collection last. So lots and lots, no surprise, of returning favorites in here. First one that's returning is Winter. That's wonderful. It should be coming out. That's a mainstay, and it should come out every year, and it's really one of the last true scents that has lasted through the years and is really great and should last through the years. So that one's in this collection. Spiced Apple Toddy, which for me is very fall. It's very, very close to leaves, very little difference, just more of sort of the mulled cider side of things. I've never seen a need for it. It's been around for probably almost as long as leaves, like at least 2009 or 10. It comes out many, not all years, just super kind of unnecessary in my opinion. So you got those two. You've got Mahogany Balsam, which first appeared last year. Heavy on the mahogany, like your mahogany teakwood, with some balsam thrown into it. Total pass for me. Frosted Cranberry, which is great. I think for me that's almost more of a January scent. It's a great true winter. There's not too much holiday to it. For me it is a nice wintry fruit scent, which is the right way to do fruits in winter, Frosted Cranberry. Then you've got Sweater Weather in a really interesting purple wax. Not sure if I like that or not, but also, again, Sweater Weather for me is the fall version of Holly Wreath. Jen Showalter, the show 78, has said the same thing, where Holly Wreath and Sweater Weather are similar in the fact that they do have some eucalyptus to them, some juniper to them, but one leans more towards fall and Holly Wreath leans more towards winter. Holiday from 2011. It was out in 2011, and I think that was the only year, which is just pathetic that it hasn't come out again, because it's such a really different version of a pine, because you also throw in this eucalyptus and juniper and like a holly wreath with some holly berries in there. Not to be confused with sort of that hollyberry balsam winter wonderland side of things. So Sweater Weather I don't think belongs in this collection. Stick it in the fall, keep it in the fall, it's great, but give us something similar, since people love Sweater Weather, but more towards winter and holidays. Should be Holly Wreath, but it's not. You've got Vanilla Snowflake, which weird. It's like a minty coconut with vanilla. It never has made sense for me in the winter collections, but they bring it back every year for the past 3 or 4 years. It's okay. I burned it one year. I didn't hate it, but doesn't scream winter to me. The original fresh balsam is in here, which is great. Love to see that. Any place they'll throw it, fine by me. You've got Fresh Sparkling Snow, which, like one of the candles, I think in the, I don't know if it was in the Celebrate collection or not. Maybe it was just this one. This one for me, I don't really like. It's along the lines of sort of the Sparkling Icicles candle, which is just so overdone, but it is sweeter and not, it's one of those candles that isn't really that wintry to me. I know that Fresh Sparkling Snow is, I think it's been a body care item, I think it's been a soap, but it just has far too much sweetness in the form of their, what they say is icy melon. Ain't nobody eating melon at Christmas time. It is a summer treat, whether it's honeydew or, you know, cantaloupe, something. Don't throw that in a winter candle. It doesn't make sense to me. It sweetens it up, but that's not winter. If you want to have a core collection of candles all throughout the year that have things like, you know, rose or berries or melon or tropical escapes, great. Do that like Yankee. Have a core collection, but then have your, you know, rotating new, you know, annual that only come out certain times of the year, seasonal collections come and go, and don't throw these weird things in here to satisfy the folks who want something, you know, sweet or fruity or whatever, because that's not what happens in winter. So whatever, that rant has been said and done a million times. The new ones that they throw in here, which this is probably the collection with the most newness. I have 3 of the 4 new ones here. You've got Winter Mint and Spruce, Chestnut and Birch, Cinnamon Pinecone, new-ish, and then Sparkling Woods. Sparkling Woods is boy, is it a weird one. The notes on that one, because I think that's something where people probably want to hear more about that, because it sounds like it could be good, but let me tell you, not a fan at all. The notes on Sparkling Woods, I think that was actually the only one I took a photo of the notes. Let's see here. They say amber, it's a white candle. Amber wood, winter pear, sparkling bergamot, and white patchouli. Sounds like it's gonna be super woodsy and gonna be like the old amber woods. I got some amber, didn't really get fruit with the pear, didn't really get a strong patchouli like, you know, your Winter Night from 2011. Bergamot, whatever, again, it's in so many of these conceptuals, it's just a citrus that's there. To me, the overwhelming note I got from that was Windex, which is weird. It just had this really synthetic note to it that I don't know if it wasn't really the patchouli, it didn't smell like amber, it didn't smell like bergamot, it didn't smell like any of the notes. It smelled cheap and just like a synthetic candle, and it smelled like someone sprayed original ammonia Windex inside the lid. So I actively dislike that, and you know if there's something new and exciting, especially if it's a woods one, my gut, I want to like it. I want to latch onto something new and say thank you for creating a new blend, but it was just horrible, which means it'll probably go wide, because why not? But that leaves us with 3 here, 2 of which I adore, 1 of which is, I don't know, I'm not sure, and then we'll get to that final White Barn collection at the end of this, so stick around for the Vanilla Balsam. But first, let's get into Winter Mint and Spruce. Now, hearing Mint and Spruce, our minds go back to 2012. Really nice collection when they first started really kind of compiling all of the conceptuals and outdoors into one collection, which was the Snow Day collection, or maybe it was 2013. And that was the year, I think, I could be off, that we had tests like Frosted Pine, which was weird, but a nice attempt. I was going to say that was the year that Twisted Peppermint came out in the blue wax, but that I think was 2012. Also like the year of the Frosted Cranberry, like mailbox label. So I'm thinking of 2013 Snow Day with that thin, like handwritten font on there. Snow Day collection had Snow Day, which was just, it was basic, but wonderful. It was just, you slapped together Twisted Peppermint and fresh balsam, and that was Snow Day. And it was conceptual, but sweet and menthol, because it was peppermint, like a true heavy peppermint, but with this balsam, they competed, but they balanced. It was really the perfect yin-yang blend of scents. I think Bronze Blogger may have once said that, like, we loved it, we freaked out over it, and then realized it was like, it was just, you know, kind of basic at the end of the day, which is true. But it was really nice because it was more than just Twisted Peppermint, it was more than just fresh balsam, and it was this great blend of the two. And call it Snow Day and put a fun picture, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm 10 years old and I'm having a snow day. Really loved it. Never saw the light of day again. It was the whole name of the collection and never came back, which again doesn't make sense. You hear Winter Mint and Spruce and you think, okay, could this be, because they love to bring scents back with new names, could this be Snow Day? Well, no, but it's a worthy replacement. So let's talk, I guess, first, you know, we always get into the marketing aspect of this. Nice colors, really some of the best labels, I would say, within the past couple of years, at least for holiday, for me, in my opinion. You've got, again, sort of the photography, the stock photography, sometimes zoomed really close like this, sometimes just more of a picturesque scene. But then they've highlighted things, like in this case, they highlighted this with sort of a glitter paint just covering the snow-colored leaves. They've thrown on some stamps of snowflakes there, which are also embossed. And then behind the name here, they have just like a pop, like a starburst of metallic paint. So in this case, it's like a metallic blue, and every candle has it, which is just, it's nice. It's a lot going on, but I think they look really, really good, and they have nice wax. Like, this is a really pretty, sort of like a minty blue wax. Now the notes on this one, read as sugared spruce, crisp winter mint, green pine, and frosted lavender. So a lot of people might think, oh, is this Peace, the iced lavender woods? Nope, not that. It's not as heavy on the lavender. Is it Snow Day? Well, you've got mint and you've got, you know, spruce and pine, so could it be? This is interesting. So forget the sugared spruce, forget winter mint, forget green pine. So we're talking spruce and unidentified pine, which could be one of many things, and lavender. So mint, spruce, pine, lavender. Sniffing this, I like this. It could be better. I really like it. I think I'll love burning it. It's strange though. So as far as the pine, I do get, again, that softer spruce like we were talking about in, gosh, what was it? Was it the Hollyberry Balsam that has some blue spruce? Yeah, it does. So it's not your balsam at all. So that's where this misses. This is not Snow Day because Snow Day definitely had balsam in it. This has pine, which I think is, think of your more traditional pine of, you know, more towards like the evergreen candle if you had to say something. And the soft spruce. So this is, I would say this is sweeter than Snow Day, and the mint is certainly there. And it's not as evenly balanced as Snow Day. There's more, it's such a soft pine and spruce, but I do think that there's more of that than the mint. The mint is there. It's sort of, you know, Jen and I were talking about this and also with Bronze Blogger of what type of mint could it be? You know, is it the menthol? Is it more the mentha? You know, is it your astringent, strong, punchy in the nose peppermint, or is it your sweeter, softer spearmint? Hard to place it. I think that there's a sharpness with the green pine, and I think it leans a little bit more towards a sweeter spearmint almost for me, like a calmer mint than your peppermint. So not so much the twisted peppermint side, which, so if Snow Day was peppermint and balsam, winter mint and spruce is more of like a spearmint and, you know, pine or spruce, not your intense astringent or menthol kick in the face of balsam. Now the lavender, I hesitate to say the lavender. I don't get much of it. I think that the Jen might have gotten some. It could be there. It's very soft. It's not your astringent lavender. This is one of the things where the notes get you, because if they didn't say lavender, I don't know that I would have picked it out. But it's kind of there, but it makes you wonder, is your mind playing tricks when you're imagining it? I almost get like almost that kind of iced melon that I said I didn't like in the other videos with like your sparkling snowflakes, citrus, whatever. Or sparkling snow, whatever it is. So yeah, there's very little there. If it is, it almost just blends more in with the resinous astringency of the green pine for me. Not a lot on the lavender. Certainly not as heavy as the Peace candle that a lot of people seem to love last year, which was closer to sort of like the old Peace candle, which was lavender and mint from the, I think, the Gold Aromatherapy Lid collection. So, but at the same time, I really like this. This one is a little bit more of your softer, again, the softer spruce, less outdoorsy, which is weird because usually the mint with pine brings you outdoors, but it's not. So verdict on that one is definitely very different than Snow Day, but similar ideas, but a different enough type of mint, different type of pine that it's kind of different from Snow Day. So that's that. Trying not to make this the longest video of all time, but these are the ones that I really can get my nose into. So let's move into the next one that I love, which is Cinnamon Pinecone. Now this tested last year, was replaced with Mahogany Balsam, but then basically seemed to come out in the Welcome Candle with Spiced Autumn Wreath. However, this is where I will admit to confusion or making mistakes. I claimed and believed that Spice Wreath, whatever was from Welcome last year was the same as Pumpkin Woods, was the same as Cinnamon Pinecone. And interestingly enough, these two side by side, you've got your Pumpkin Woods and your Cinnamon Pinecone, are different. They are definitely not the same. So, I mean, they're close, but there's enough different about them that it's interesting to me where they won't do Holly Wreath and Sweater Weather, which are so close, but they'll do pumpkin woods to cinnamon pinecone because they really are like the fall and winter versions of each other. First, let's get into them. So great label, really, really like that one. It's a really nice outdoors traditional wreath or bough full of everything. The notes on this one: cinnamon bark, fresh pine, aromatic cedar, again, what, as opposed to cedar that doesn't smell, and juniper. Really, really like that. So let's reduce that to cinnamon, pine, cedar, juniper. So you've got woods, herbal, and cinnamon. Oh boy, I think there's got to be some citrus in there. There's got to be some orange rind or orange zest in there just to top it off. This is, I would almost say this is as complex as, say, your winter garland. Doesn't compare, doesn't reach the levels that I love winter garland, but really nicely executed. The cinnamon there, they say cinnamon bark, and I like that in the sense that it is not the red hot cinnamon. It is not your standard cinnamon stick. It's a little bit deeper of a cinnamon. The pine and the cedar, I think the cedar makes this a little bit of sort of the sweeter, wet kind of wood. It brings sort of that, you know, again, there is pine in there, but it's more like, think of like a pine 2x4 type of pine, like a fresh pine wood, and the cedar just darkens it and makes it a little bit more mysterious. And then it has that, again, that little hint of juniper, which adds just kind of that little bit of herbal astringent, you know, that holly berry that you find on the wreath. So I just think it's very, very classic Christmas. It's a very good blend. The name does not do it justice. It's more than just a cinnamon pine cone. Really, really like that one. Now comparing it to, again, I thought that they were the same on a naked sniff. The Pumpkin Woods. They are similar, but Pumpkin Woods it is different. The difference, now let's compare notes here. They both have, one says clove buds, one says cinnamon bark. Potentially interchangeable, okay. Both have cedar. The Pumpkin Woods has spruce versus pine in the cinnamon pine cone. And then supposedly Pumpkin Woods has a smoky vanilla versus the juniper, the sort of astringent kind of berry-esque note in the pine. That is much more, if you think, it's almost like they're brothers, or one is early in the season, one's later in the season, which makes sense, or early in the day, late in the day. There's Pumpkin Woods, softer. The spruce makes it softer because that's the only pine you've got. Maybe a little more of the cedar, the dried cedar, which is in here, but not as, I think the pine is stronger in cinnamon pine cone than the cedar. Again, cinnamon versus clove. I think it's debatable. Pretty similar on the spice level to me. I would almost say the Pumpkin Woods has a stronger spice to it than the cinnamon pine cone. And then the smoky vanilla, I don't totally buy that. I don't think it's smoky vanilla. I think it's a different note that they're just scared that basic people won't like if they say what it really is versus a vanilla. Because I don't think it's vanilla. But there is something a little bit, you know, like a smoky woods in there that cinnamon pine cone doesn't have. Cinnamon pine cone is definitely legitimately darker and heavier. But very, very close. I think that cinnamon pine cone is a little cooler, a little darker, and actually a little brighter with the juniper, and potentially, again, I think I get a citrus rind in there. Whereas Pumpkin Woods is softer because of the spruce. You've got a hit of the spice, a good hit of the spice with those clove buds, and then a little background of something that they call smoky vanilla, which I don't call smoky vanilla. Then we move on to, well, we'll finish that one last. Let's do Chestnut and Birch. This is admittedly one of my lesser, not least favorites, but lesser favorites certainly of this trio here. I do like the label. I was excited by the name. I don't really know what chestnuts smell like or taste like, but that label, boy, just like that winter sun coming through all those trees on a snowy day is just gorgeous. And again, you see that sort of copper paint drop of like spray paint practically. And the notes on this one: roasted chestnut, caramel sea salt, fireside woods, and birch bark. Interesting. Ooh, I don't know if I like this one. I was talking to Jen Showalter on this, and I think she said it, you know, we talk, I don't like gourmand mixed in with the woods. So when they throw caramel sea salt, I'm like, Ooh, and even chestnut. I don't know if I'm gonna want that with some fireside woods, which could be intense, and birch bark, which is really a pretty strong tree scent usually. This to me smells more, and I think she said this too, this is really similar but not the same as Ski Lodge, which I don't have the notes in front of me, but that's been out for a couple of years. You can look it up yourself if you want. You probably know what it smells like. Really close to Ski Lodge in that kind of, I would almost say, they don't say it here, but I'd almost say like a cedar, like a dry cedar, maybe a pine, but like a dried wood. Don't really get much of birch. Caramel, it's not a sweetness, so caramel sea salt, like they're trying to say salted caramel, but definitely no salt, and caramel is like not even there. There's a softness to this, which I think is the chestnut. I don't think it's caramel really necessarily at all. I thought, could it be close to chestnut and clove? I'm just at least going to compare, because again, I love this one. This one, the chestnut and clove, is chestnut, clove, pine, cedarwood, moss, versus chestnut, woods, caramel, and birch bark. So completely different. Whereas winter cabin, this is called chestnut and clove, is all enveloping. It's warm, it's rich. To me, they both have roasted chestnut as a note, and I get almost no comparison between the two, because I don't think that just cloves, cedarwood, and moss would add so much to chestnut and clove that chestnut and birch shouldn't have the same base. It's like there's so much more going on in chestnut and clove versus chestnut and birch. So a bit of a loss with this one. I think it's kind of Ski Lodge with just a little bit of a sweetness thrown in, or just a dullness from the chestnut. A little bit woody, but yeah, it's weird. It's very close to Ski Lodge, and I actually may return that one. I don't know if I like it. And then finally, we've got the White Barn Core Collection. This one you've got, I'm not even going to list all of them. There's a peach meringue that is just peach, whatever they want to call it, it's just peach. There is a winter cedar, which really is, it kind of smells, it reminds me a little bit of the original, which came out in White Barn over the summer, which smelled like, really just like fresh wood, like pine planks, or in this case, the winter cedar, like a cedar pencil, cedar shavings, really dry. Not much going on to it, really simple, which is, a bummer. They could have done so much more there. Peppermint Marshmallow, same one as last year, not the 2011 version, but the one that was out last year, which is a little more synthetic with a little bit of a chocolate to it. Not a huge fan of it, didn't love it last year, so I didn't buy that. And I think the only one I can be missing here, of course, you've got Fireside is out in this collection, Fresh Balsam is in this collection, some of those standards. Cinnamon and Clove is in this one. And then the new one that was interesting to me was this Vanilla Balsam, which sounds basic and admittedly is kind of basic, but it works. Balsam fir branches, frosted vanilla, snow-capped pine, and fresh cut cedarwood. Not so convinced on the cedarwood. To me, there's not a whole lot to say about this candle, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's much heavier on the vanilla, but the balsam is there, it's real. Someone who doesn't like piney, outdoors, strong scents could maybe get this one to work for them. They say frosted vanilla. They could almost say sugared vanilla, in my opinion. To me, this is the exact same vanilla that they use in the lavender vanilla. So that it's like a really soft, very soft, lush vanilla that's used, very like a perfumey kind of vanilla that they use, maybe even a hint of musk in there, even though it's sweet. Vanilla that they use for the vanilla lavender candle with that softer lavender. And this is that same really soft, not sweet, borderline musky, but soft and warm vanilla. And the balsam, they say pine and balsam fir branches. Just think fresh balsam without the eucalyptus, really toned down, but still a true balsam in there. Again, I'd say it's like a good 60-40 on vanilla and balsam, maybe even a little bit stronger on the vanilla. But nice. I think it'll be great for layering. I'm glad it's not in that outdoor conceptual collection, because it is less outdoors, less conceptual. Again, for me, conceptual is putting you in the place, whereas this is a little bit more simple, but still really nice and works. So not a whole lot to say there. So overall, Enjoying a couple of these again. Love that Cinnamon Pinecone, kind of came out of left field for me. Really like the Winter Mint and Spruce. Ultimately though, would like to see Snow Day, I think, in its place. Everything else in this collection, aside from the cores that are good, could take it or leave it. Really hoping that they'll wow us with some randomness coming out in a different collection, or you know, bring back our Vanilla Spice, which would be amazing in this collection. That could have been one of these candles. Holly Wreath or Winter Garland. Need I go on about those? So overall, you know, I can't say that I'm not a fan, because clearly I bought, what, 7 candles or something like that from the collections. But a far cry from the heyday when they had really amazing scents. These ones are, you know, there's some B pluses in there, but nothing that are sort of hoard worthy, or that I would miss if they didn't come out with them next year, like I miss Winter Garland. Hasn't been out for how many years. So I need to, I think, just build a bridge and get over that one. But that is about it for this collection, for all the holiday collections. Let me know what you think. Check, comment here. Check out facebook.com/TouchTheFireTwice. Also check out my main channel, The Gentleman Next Door. Let me know what you get. Let me know what you think. And until next time, take care.